So welcome back, everyone, and I hope you had a great coffee break. So now it is time for the much-awaited panel discussion entitled The Role of Signal Processing and Information Security in the Metaverse, which will be moderated by Professor Wathik Mansour, our Dean. So Professor Wathik, you may take over.
Thank you, Abigail, and thanks, Professor Ceit Dhahri. He actually, Dr. Ceit Dhahri, is the director of the Center of Future Studies at University of Dubai. Also, we welcome Dr. Muayyad Al-Uqaili from Hamad bin Zayed University. We're supposed to have Professor Ernesto, so still he hasn't joined. I hope he could join soon, inshallah. In the meantime, I would like to invite Dr. Ceit to talk about yourself, your experience to the audience, please.
The mic, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, great. So thank you, Dr. Wathik, for the introduction. I'm glad to join this panel discussion about the role of AI and information security in the metaverse in this IEEE International Conference on Signal Processing and Information Security. Just to give a brief about myself, my name is Ceit Dhahri, of course, but you heard it. I'm the director for the Center of Future Studies at the University of Dubai. What we do is focus more on future foresight and strategic foresight in terms of building capacity and training for the government staff and for the private sector as well. And also part of what we do is as research on future studies. So we look into domains that are of a priority interest to the government of the UAE. For example, future of education, future of healthcare, future of energy, renewable energy, future of security, including food security. So these are the focus areas where we conduct future studies. Also, part of what I do is I'm speaking a lot about future technologies such as artificial intelligence, blockchain, digital twins, 3D printing, and all the fourth industrial revolution technologies as we progress to implement some of those technologies as of the government strategies for the future. So this is in a nutshell about myself. Again, I'm happy to be part of this panel discussion, and I look forward with my colleagues, Dr. Muayyad and Professor Ernesto, to have an interesting discussion about the metaverse.
Yeah, and we are glad that we have Professor Ernesto. Thank you for joining.
Sorry for being late. I am at a conference, so I had to reach a quiet place to be able to join. Sorry for that.
Thank you, Professor. I know that you are in Italy now.
No, I am in Bahrain. For Arab
okay.
cybersecurity.
Thank you, Dr. Ernesto. Dr. Ernesto, I mean, if you please could just introduce yourself to the audience.
Okay, thank you very much for this, and I'm really glad to be here with friends and colleagues for this discussion. My name is Ernesto Damiani. I am the Senior Director of the Robotics and Intelligence System Institute at Khalifa University. And well, we do a lot of topics that have to do with the metaverse. Of course, we do immersive virtual reality. We have been working for a long time in a number of applications, including the relation between virtual reality, augmented reality on one side and the AI on the other, because the AI can decide what we see and what we experiment, what we experience in an augmented reality context. But my strong interest is the the notion, the interaction between the new notion of a metaverse on one side and the 5G network on the other, meaning that the new mobile network is an essential ingredient for a fully immersive experience and especially a multi-user experience in the metaverse. So I'm very much interested in what are the network requirements that you need, and what can the new setting, the 5G setting, deliver in terms of metaverse. These are my interests regarding the topic.
Thank you, Dr. Ernesto, for this, Professor Ernesto, for this introduction. Dr. Mayed, thank you very much for joining. We are glad to have you here.
Thank you.
So, can you kindly introduce yourself to the audience, please?
Thank you, Dr. Wathiq, and good morning, everyone. I'm really happy to be in this interesting panel with the estimated members and moderator, and I'm happy to see this conference kicking off and attracting a lot of attention. My name is Muaid Al-Okili. I'm with Mohammed bin Zayed University of Artificial Intelligence. I mean, we are an AI university focusing on the aspect of AI in different domains. Metaverse, as you know, as a disruptive technology is one of it for sure. My main interest or my main research interest these days is focusing around the cybersecurity of emerging application. Metaverse is one of it. We're looking into the many problems in this domain that hindering, the successful development of such technologies, starting from, data protection, privacy, and security, into any other problems related, the telecommunication and the communication of this, of this technology. I'm happy to be with you guys, and thank you for the invitation. And I'm looking forward to talk about this topic with you.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I think before we start to go in depth about the discussion about the metaverse and their influence in the various sectors in our life, I'd like for Dr. First to all of you to give to the audience the basic definition of metaverse, so that later on when we ask question, at least the audience, because metaverse is is the old new technology, and it's still not clear for everybody. So I thought it is a good idea to get your definition or impression about metaverse, so that we can discuss further about it. So maybe I could start with Professor Ceit.
Thank you, Dr. Wathiq. Okay, you can hear me, right? Right.
Yes.
Okay, so it's a good way to start with what is the metaverse, as the world is struggling, to put a definition for the metaverse at the moment. There are many definitions that anyone can, from his perspective, from his point of view, think of the metaverse. But let me say this: the metaverse is expected to have a real connection with the real world economy. This is for sure what we've seen. There is no one single agreed upon definition for the metaverse, but it seems that the tech experts seems to agree on one definition. That is the metaverse, the way the tech experts see it, an online 3D virtual world in which real people can interact in real time to do unlimited variety of virtual activities, such as working on the metaverse, traveling, in the metaverse, transacting and playing on the metaverse. All of this supported by its own digital economy. So each M-word or metaverse word has its own digital token or digital economy for the transaction. That is broad definition that maybe many of the experts agree. Of course, the metaverse is enabled or can be achieved by Web 3.0 technologies. Basically, we're talking about blockchain, smart contracts as part of the blockchain, NFT, non-fungible tokens, for transacting and for owning digital assets, and other decentralized technologies. So this is in a nutshell, a brief about defining the metaverse and what the metaverse is. The field is still developing. It's developing much faster. It was a trend, but it is now a mega trend as we see countries, of course, the UAE, through the Emirates of Dubai, they have put a forward-looking strategy, the Dubai Metaverse strategy, that in the next 5 years, Dubai is aiming to generate around 4 billion, dirhams out of the metaverse, inviting more than 200 companies, virtual companies, to be established in the metaverse, and supporting around 40,000 jobs, in the metaverse. So there is many strategies that governments around the world and cities around the world, they put, for the metaverse.
Okay, thank you, Prof. Ceit. I think that's a nice definition and impression about metaverse. Professor Ernesto, if you would like to.
Yeah, well, a good definition was already given, right? So I can give a less serious definition if you prefer. There is a famous moment in the movie Matrix, the first one, in which the protagonist meets another guy in a coffee shop, and he says, "Do you realize we live in an illusion?" And the other guy says, "Well, it's a comfortable one, though." And he was having a good cup of coffee. So the notion is that the promise of the metaverse is to provide an alternative world where we can carry out meaningful activities in interaction. This I would like to underline the interactive part. It's not just a world that is a display of images. It is a world where we can carry out meaningful activities and maybe in that setting be as productive or even more efficient and entertained than we are in the real world. So I don't want to give the impression that I think is another world completely detached, because my colleagues would correct me. There can be interactions between the real world and the metaverse, but mostly the dream is to provide an alternative setting for human activities. And this alternative setting needs to be realistic enough to carry out the activities productively.
Okay, thanks, Prof. Ernesto. Dr. Mayed, if you'd like to add something.
Thank you, Dr. Wathiq. I believe Dr. Ceit and Dr. Ernesto has laid out the main foundation of what is metaverse and what is the notion, or why we need metaverse from the first place. But in another context, I would like to add that metaverse in a basic form, it is the new service-oriented architecture that is going to be happening for our life existence. So now the metaverse can be exist either for personal or for professional uses. But in both ways, if you look at it, we are creating a more interactive ways, as Professor Ernesto highlighted, for providing different kind of services. So it's basically what's happening in the metaverse is the replication of our current real world to provide a better service, a more efficient services, or a more interactive services that will give more quality of experience, a quality of services for the users. So if you look, for example, at why the government, they are investing in the metaverse. So it's for a simple reason that people, suffering a lot when they want, to conduct or to get information about how they can renew their license agreement or their certificate, or they want to get any information about any government services. So imagine that they don't have to go to any physical location, and they can just from their offices or from their home just get the information they need and conduct the service itself in a virtual environment, in a few steps of using such technology. So I look at the metaverse as, you know, the new world of service provision or service-oriented enabler. So which will provide a lot of, you know, benefit and a lot of convenience for users.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Mayet. Yeah. As we all know that with new technology, there are a lot of things need to be prepared, planned, done. Like, you know, I give you an example of autonomous car. The autonomous car now it's existed. Yeah, it's matured, almost matured, maybe safe, or it is there. But there were a lot of things that didn't progress the same way that the technology progressed. Like, you know, legal issues, you know, a lot of points are surrounding autonomous car, and that's why maybe autonomous car will not be seen in the road. I mean, for a long time. I mean, maybe the expectation 2035, and I think metaverse is the same. So metaverse is technology is old, new. Yeah, it's not a new technology, but again, there are a lot of things that need to be done, legal issues, governance, society, all these kind of things. And that's actually lead me to the first question to the panel. I know it's a metaverse, it's a lot of aspects, because it will impact our life. All aspects of our life. So my first question is, what kind of governance, society, and cybersecurity threats that will be introduced by or in the metaverse? So I direct first these questions to Professor Ernesto, please.
Okay, so I will focus on a part of it, because this question is
huge
question, but huge. How can we? There are all the facets of the metaverse needs to be handled, and they all are areas where we're still working. Let me focus on the network part. So the network part is very important, because there are two problems that need to be solved. One problem is to bring realistic video, retina quality video to the eyes, which is something the retina quality video can go now to smartphone screens easily. But if you want to have it a real immersive experience, you need to bring retina quality to the eyes. This is a throughput problem. So people need to be able to be reached by this quantity of data. And secondly, the second problem is latency. If I move an object in the metaverse and someone is sitting virtually at the same desk I have, the guy has to see the object moving at the same time I move it, not 3 minutes afterwards. Otherwise, we won't be able to interact. And so the meetings in the metaverse can only happen if we solve throughput and latency. Now, these two problems are problems for the network equipment designers. Here are problems for the network operators. They can already provide this, but only in limited areas in the lab. But moving it to the entire network for the operators is a problem. Huge investments are needed. So now you're asking, what are the threats? Well, I see a lot of threats. Supply chain threats, threats for, we are really putting our society in the head of the equipment, much more than before. So I like the notion of the, service-oriented architecture of the future is the metaverse. Very, very nice and very, very good point. But this means that the basic processes of our societies will take place in the metaverse, and they will be handled by equipment that we buy and by operators that, of course, in the UAE, we can trust the operators, right? Because they are government owned. But if you think at the overall globalization setting, you will see that moving a lot of activities in the metaverse is per se, a point that should be taken with a certain caution, because you are basically enabling all sorts of potential supply chain threats. You are enabling the equipment to be, and I stop here, but so how can we certify the neutrality of the metaverse, as we certified the neutrality of the internet, which is something that was, by the way, not entirely achieved even in the past. But so if we want the metaverse to be the place where I go to ask for a loan, where I entertain with my friends, where I work with my colleagues in a meeting, all these activities in the metaverse, we need to trust the metaverse. We need to make sure that the metaverse is tested, certified, stamped. So this is not an easy task. So I call it in general the problem of trust in a complex environment where you have multiple users, multiple suppliers, and multiple stakeholders. So the governments should keep an eye on this need for trusting and neutrality of the metaverse with respect to the user stakeholders. I stop here.
Thanks, Professor. Let's stop. Dr. Ceit, please.
Okay, great. So just to continue what Ernesto was talking about, he highlighted the technical part of the network. Of course, this is one challenge, that we need to provide real-time experience to the retina of the eye, and you know, on this you will have probably, you need to have 5G connectivity and broadband connectivity to do this. And the other issue also which he's touched is about the trust in the metaverse. What we do as part of my engagement with the World Economic Forum, we have a community working in two groups. One is the governance group for the metaverse, and one is the value creation group for the metaverse. And as we speak right now, we are struggling to define a proper governance framework for the metaverse. So this governance touches on several important issues that needs to be addressed. One of which is the identity and interoperability. How we can have a secure, trusted identity for users interacting in the metaverse, and probably more than one identity or a sovereign identity, depends on the user, which words he would like to go to, and how we can have also this interoperability between the different words. Right now, what's happening is that there is no one single universe, and I doubt that it's going to be one single universe. Every company, every big tech, every platform owner, they create their own world. Every government, probably, every city is creating their own world. So there has to be a way, and the standards, I think what we're lacking at the moment is the technical standard to at least have an interoperable framework between the different worlds. So I can move with my identity from one world, metaverse world, to the other. So this is the first issue. The second issue is about also the privacy and security. How we can protect users' privacies, users' data, user interaction on the metaverse. If users' data and privacy is not protected, this is again going to create a trust issue, as Ernesto has said, and it will deter people, from adopting a metaverse. The safety of people, on the metaverse, as we have seen through some of the platforms, some sexual harassment happens, to some ladies, and many other threats that people can encounter, in the metaverse. So privacy and security is another dimension. Safety is another dimension, of course. And the last is the ownership and intellectual property. How I can protect if I buy a digital asset or a virtual asset on the internet, this asset is protected, and I am the owner of that digital assets. And unfortunately, from what we've seen so far in the past few years, especially in the NFT space, that there's a lot of security threats and hackings has happened to people who own digital assets. So today I buy a virtual asset which is supposed to be mine, and I'm the owner of that digital assets, and the next day it's not there. Somebody has hacked into my identity in a way or another, or hacked through the platform and stole my digital assets. So ownership as we going to enable this transaction across the metaverse. So this is another dimension where we need to have also secure ownership and intellectual property. If I do something, if I build, if I creatively, invent something in the metaverse, that is, that is mine. And I cannot see that, someone can steal this intellectual property. So these dimensions, what we try at the moment through the World Economic Forum and through also other alliances is to really define those dimensions and to start security by design, to start securing those dimensions from the design perspective. Now, when it comes to cybersecurity threats, I think Ernesto has alluded to some of them. Well, the same threat which we face today on the internet are the threats which we're going to encounter on the metaverse, but probably more on the metaverse as we try to implement new technologies of what's called Web 3.0 or decentralized blockchain and NFTs and so forth. So, for example, hacking users' identity, like I said, through vulnerabilities either in the metaverse code to gain access to users' account and steal virtual assets. Cyber criminals could launch also attacks on businesses that operate in the metaverse, stealing sensitive data or financial information. Malicious actors could create fake virtual worlds that are designed to steal user data and spread malware. I mentioned the sexual harassment. The metaverse could be used to spread disinformation or manipulate public opinion through fake news and through deep fake technologies. So these are some of only few or of some of the threats which we may encounter on the metaverse. And as the field is developing, as the technology is maturing, and as we implement the metaverse, it's going to be a journey. Look into the journey that we have, spent for the internet and for the web in the past, let's say, 25, 27 years since 1993 when the web came, and then it came and it started to have the web. So I think it's going to be a journey, but I think we have a chance at the moment since we are building this from scratch, and I hope we have learned good lessons from the internet developments so we can have a much trusted, secure metaverse. Not only this, but when you speak about, for example, you mentioned society, Doctor, how we can have a metaverse that is inclusive, that is equitable. These are issues which the world now is really looking for. It is, if we want to really have a sustainable universe, we have to look at these other issues which the society, accessibility is important. Not everyone have a 5G accessibility to go into the, especially on other continents and on other countries which they lack proper technical infrastructure. So accessibility is an issue. Inclusivity is an issue. Is the metaverse is going to be confined to certain groups or to certain people, to the wealthy, to the rich, or it's going to be equitable and inclusive to all others? So these are important issues which the world, I think, is trying to define and put a framework so we can build a trusted and secure metaverse.
Thank you, Dr. Ceit, for this elaborated answer to the question. Dr. Moayed, please.
Thank you, Dr. Wathiq. I believe Ernesto and Ceit has, covered most of the aspect of these questions. Ernesto has touched upon all the aspect of the technical, requirement and standard that is need to be put in a place to have a successful, metaverse experience. Professor Ceit has touched on different aspects when it comes to cyber physical threat, social challenges, and governance challenges. If I may say also that add to those points that the network operators, that they need to rejuvenate their entire architectures to consider the immersive service and the immersive experience required for such users, because there is still great challenges and we're still exploring what can be done in this area and how this should be done to, improve the quality of the experience for providing metaverse for decentralized, nature. If I may also say that this question is mainly it's three main part is the cyber threat aspect, the social challenges, and the governance challenges. I think we have the panelists has already covered all the aspect of the cyber threat when it comes to security of the data protection, the trust in the system, the NFTs issues and the ownership. Also there were another aspect that how we can trust it. There is a lot of dark web, and there will be also dark verses or dark metaverses these days. There will be a lot of shady businesses and shady interaction happening on the metaverse in terms of, for example, financial fraud and privacy related issues and so on. I believe one thing that we need to focus on, that in order to implement a cybersecurity on the metaverse, we have to focus on three main components. And we need to look into the following component to make sure that, the metaverse is trusted, is reliable, and it is, available for everyone in terms of inclusivity. First, we need to put more regulation into the use of this, so this is from the terms of the governance I'm trying to talk about here, that we don't have enough regulation, or we don't know what is the regulation for such, use of technologies. And this regulation can be put for a public metaverse, and it can be for a private as well. So people, companies, enterprises, government, they don't know what is, this ecosystem and how we can deal with this ecosystem from, technical perspective, by providing services and providing betterment for the people. And at a personal level, we still also lack the understanding how we can govern this, what are the regulations in case of harassment, in case of a misuse, in case of a fraud. So it took us a long time to regulate the use of the internet and define, rule in place, softwareized rules. I mean, it's at this point that to govern how we can use the internet, how we can provide good practice for the internet. So now we are shifting the whole concept of using the internet from two-dimensional world into 3- and 4-dimensional world. So now it's like we are restarting the game, and we want to put something completely new and discuss it on the table. So imagine how this would require, and how this is, is challenging. Another aspect here in terms of also the governance of the metaverse and their cybersecurity is that we don't have enough knowledge of what kind of a new cybersecurity that might happen in the metaverse. So we know in the regular world, and we know in our web 1.0 and 2.0 what's going on, that in terms of different intrusion detection system, and in terms of different type of attacks, like a black hole attack, ransom attack, and so on and so forth. But what might happen other than what we know in terms of cybersecurity and cyber physical spaces like metaverse, we don't know yet. So I think we still need to put more effort into what are the knowledges needed to define the different type of threats, the different type of attacks, the different type of problems that might happen or might arise in the cybersecurity. So another aspect here also I would like to mention is that some of the common problems that might happen when we use such services in a public space or in a private space is the moderation of this technology. Who should moderate this technology, and in which capacity? The identity management and the ownership of the people who are using the metaverse, the communication issues and the communication, reliability and synchronization. Those another also. The data accuracy. I mean, there will be a lot of data is being exchanged on the metaverse. How we can ensure that this data is accurate? How can I trust that this data is reliable and I can, take it further, and so on. Some of the project also we are working on currently in my team is. I think Ernesto and Ceit has already also touched upon is the trust in the different, or in trust and interoperability. So we know that in a private metaverse, I can't trust the environment because, for example, if Dubai police, they want to create a private metaverse to provide services, the daily services that we are using, for example. So this to some extent, the source is known, the services is known. So to some extent, people can go and use these services without much of a worries. But imagine the case that I would like to entertain myself on the metaverse, but in a public metaverse. And in the public metaverse, we can have multiple public metaverse. In UAE itself can have many, in USA, in Europe, and in Latino American countries. So the identity, how I can define the identity of the people who are using this metaverse. So I can use different avatars, different NFTs, I can buy it, and I can log in and I can use these services in different public metaverse using different identities. So if it's like I'm doing a crime, or if I'm doing something shady in one place, then I go to another place, I change my identity, I do the same, or I do the act. So now what we are trying to look into, how we can build non-centralized or decentralized environment where the identity of the people who are using the metaverse is being verified before, they enter and, require such kind of services. So I believe this is what I have to say when it comes to the governance of using, the metaverse and the issues and the challenges in terms of their cybersecurity, space.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you very much, Dr. Mayet. Okay. So now we'll ask you a second question, which cover some other aspect of metaverse, which is the artificial intelligence influence, actually. So my question is that what would be the role of AI in the metaverse as an enabling technology or threats countermeasures? So maybe we'll start with Dr. Ceit, please. You are muted, Doctor. Oh, yeah.
Yes. Okay, I mute myself after I speak. I think we enter into an area where there are a lot of uncertainties. Of course, we're seeing every day the impact of AI in our lives and what AI can do, and I think AI is going to play an important role in enabling the metaverse in many ways. For example, easily creating metaverse words and words based on text description, as we see it happening now with generative AI. Imagine with a touch of a button, you describe your metaverse word in words, okay, through a prompt, what is called prompt engineering, that is now becoming the hot topic, the hot subject, and blah, you have a metaverse word generated as per your description. This is happening at the moment. So I think that AI is going to democratize the metaverse in a way that novice users or normal people will be able to generate, M words in a fly by just only describing the word that they want to see in the metaverse world. We see this generative AI at the moment. I'm using, just a couple of days I was using Ceit GPT, the new GPT model from OpenAI. And it's amazing, to the power of this conversational AI and how realistic answers, it can bring. So yes, one way is that AI is going to help using creating metaverse words. Another applications also of AI is going to create personal assistants, chatbots that can help users with many tasks on the metaverse, such as scheduling events, managing finances, and even providing emotional support to people in the metaverse. And also AI can create realistic avatars when it comes to avatars design and interaction that can interact with users in a more natural way. Also, we see now new VR headsets coming to the market that are AI enabled in terms of positioning and aligning the scenes, in terms of providing more functionality to the headsets, to provide this better user experience, for the users. So AI is going to play a big role when it comes to designing experiences and when it comes to the technology itself and identifying people and so forth. On the other side, however, when it comes to threat countermeasure, AI can be used to monitor and analyze user behavior, could be used to identify suspicious or malicious behaviors and then take appropriate countermeasures. It can be used, for example, to identify users who are attempting to exploit vulnerabilities in the metaverse and the system, or who are engaged in other malicious activities. So AI could also be used to monitor for signs of hacking or other cybersecurities. So there are a lot of applications, and I think here the people are better than me, Dr. Muayyad and Dr. Ernesto, as they come from this cybersecurity background. They can speak a lot of how AI is going to be used to provide cybersecurity measures, to try to protect them. And on the other side, also, you can see that the hackers are not stopping there. So this AI tool is a double sword edge. I mean, it is used by the good people to countermeasure the attack, and it's used by the bad people to find out vulnerabilities and to use AI in ways that can help them penetrate through networks and do their hacking attempts.
Thanks for Ceit. Prof. Ernesto, please.
Because I'm also muted, because I'm muted for to prevent any background noise to interfere with our panel. So, but I would like to start with one thing which is more related to the previous round, which is we need to make sure that the network infrastructure that we have will become metaverse ready. This is not just a technical requirement, it is a protocol requirement, it is a security requirement. And I think the governance people will have to help in that direction, because the neutrality of the internet in the end was compromised by the notion that we were still using the 80s protocols in 20 years after. And the same thing here. So, for example, I'm just making an example, the difference between upstream and downstream, which is in the original internet protocol was basically a symmetric, full duplex type of idea. Here we might need to have by design of the duplex in order to be able to trust the relationship we have with the metaverse, what we are actually transferring upstream from the human in the real world to the metaverse needs to be by design, in my opinion. It cannot be something that is left by. Having said this, so I think this is very important from the beginning to make sure that the 6G will be metaverse ready. This is a debate I had with some colleagues at the II as well. In Abu Dhabi, there is a lot of awareness, but we need to make the scientific community voice heard at the governance level, at the operators level. It must be metaverse designed. Otherwise, we will risk a lot of cybersecurity edges afterwards. We will risk them anyway, but at least, you you want to buy a car, with all the precautions to avoid a crash. Right? And then the fender bender can always happen, but at least you've done your, at the choice moment, in the design moment, you made an attempt. Having said this, so I wanted to underline this is very important that we look at the protocols, that we look at the setup. I think that the AI that needs to be in the metaverse is the assistive variety. It's very important that we integrate the human and the AI. I think the metaverse gives you a unique opportunity. A unique opportunity because the observables that you will have on the metaverse will be unique. At the moment, you monitor people, but you are in the real world. So the metaverse will be entirely made of observables. And so the type of models that we will be able to train, that we will be able to deploy in the metaverse is unprecedented. And really, I know that many of my colleagues are looking at this as a unique opportunity to make AI for real. I hope it is of the assistive variety, meaning that the human is somehow part of this evolution and is not just, you know, the passive spectator. So there are paradigms like active learning, paradigms like human in the loop, indirect, paradigms like the human being part of the ecosystem that, in my opinion, need to be the protagonist on the metaverse. This is not something, I don't think that the metaverse can become the substitute of, you know, social networks today, because the experience of the social network today is strongly, the models and the algorithms that are deployed are strongly there for reasons of, guiding the human reaction to some stimuli, mostly commercial origin. So I want to be very clear. The metaverse is a place where we want to go to work. We are not just audience that is there to buy. Of course, I'm nothing against buying stuff. I'm saying that if it has to be the place where humans carry out a significant part of their lives, the AI type that we will deploy from the non-functional point of view, and I know my colleagues can comment on that, the non-functional properties of the models and the training algorithms of the model with the transparency of the training are requirements that are very, very important in order to make the human and the AI coexistence in the metaverse an opportunity rather than, you know, a challenge. Otherwise, if we see the metaverse as the continuation of the social networks, where most of the communication is targeting, well, legitimate economic goals only, we will find out that in the end, the humans will be sort of passive side, on the receiving side. We want to be protagonists. We want the best people to be involved in the metaverse evolution. So we need to change the paradigm, I believe, from that point of view, to make the metaverse a place where humanity can contribute and we can progress together with the technology. So this is just, sorry, maybe I took it a little bit
yeah, that's good.
But I think this is a common feeling in the scientific community. It's an opportunity, let's not waste it.
Yeah, thank you, Professor Ernesto, and thank you for this elaboration, because I think it's very important for, it's very useful to the audience as well to have a better vision and understanding of the influence of AI on metaverse. Dr. Moed, please, if you could.
Thank you, guys. I mean, I can't agree more. I mean, basically, I mean, AI, it's, I mean, I keep saying this in many places. I mean, AI, it's becoming like a USB stick. It's like you take it anywhere with you now, not in only application. It's even in any startup or business-oriented. I mean, you need an AI. It's becoming a fundamental. I mean, we're moving more and more toward automation and anonymity. So, and without AI, all of these fancy things and all of these, you know, successful in development wouldn't be happening. So, putting this into the context of metaverse, I mean, it's basically bridging the autonomous level of communication and service-oriented provision between the real and the virtual world. It can only be done by AI, by autonomous, you know, and autonomous machine that will manage and will optimize and will try to protect the all the asset and all the data and all the objects on the meta, on the real and in the virtual worlds. So, I mean, metaverse, it's a promise to be fully decentralized. I mean, it should be available for everyone. And when you look at the problem of the decentralizability, I mean, no one, no protocol, no centralized entity can manage all of this, you know, a huge momentum of data and a huge momentum of, you know, opportunities using manual, you know, operation. That should be all autonomous. And the way to go for this is using AI. So AI, it comes in different branches. We have the machine learning, we have the computer vision, we have the NLP. And all of these different, AI capabilities can be, provide assistance into the successful development of the metaverse. So, for example, AI can collaborate with the metaverse, to provide users with realistic avatars. So people now, and Dr. Ceit talk about the ownership, and people investing a lot on the
Dr. Wade, you are freeze. We cannot hear you. I think there's maybe
Connection
Dr. Ernesto, that's what you mentioned earlier.
Exactly. Exactly.
I think Dr. Wasaq, really the point which Ernesto has highlighted is very important. Let's wait until Muayyad gets back. Human in the loop paradigm or AI-centric, human AI centricity, I think is going to be a very important and crucial part as we're going forward, because we don't want to leave things to AI as this can ruin things, as we've seen previously with many of AI applications that have been developed, and shows some kind of discrimination and some kind of bias and a lot of that. So human centricity and having the human in the loop and see where really AI can benefit us on the metaverse. I think we need to choose those use cases where there is a good relationship and augmentation between human capability and between what AI can provide us, and use it wisely, because otherwise I think this is gonna probably create a lot of negative impact, on the metaverse, not just only in the metaverse as we go forward with AI, because we live in this AI revolution at the moment, and everyone speaks about AI can do this and can do that. And we're seeing, how big tech are coming up with models that are impacting our lives in unimaginable ways. And you think about, for example, the ethical issues. If I am an artist today and I do an art, okay, and then this art is being taught to an AI model, which is stealing my style, and someone else is benefiting from that, that's of course a very scary and dangerous thing. I think we have Muayyad here. Welcome, Muayyad, back.
Thank you, Dr. Ceit. I'm really so sorry, and I'm sorry for the audience. I'm in Rio. Not in Abu Dhabi. I'm attending a conference, GlobeCom in Brazil, and we have a hard time, for the connectivity. It's not. It's the hotel internet. This connectivity. So and this is another example that for inclusion. We're talking about providing public metaverse, but we still have internet issues in so many countries. They're not even having 5G or 6G connectivity. Okay, Dr. Ceit, you can continue. Sorry for cutting you off.
Just made a comment, Muayyad, so you can continue. Yes. We were waiting for you to come back, so you can continue.
Thank you so much, and I'm sorry again. So the basic that I was saying that AI is fundamental in the metaverse. It is to bridge the middle part where we need to have a real connection, a realistic connection between our virtual and our real world. And how we can do that by designing at the design level and the architecture level, that we need an AI to assist in all the steps in having services and having entertainment and having different kind of luxuries possibilities on the metaverse. So the AI and in any standards, and we have been meeting with people from Virginia Tech in the past couple of days, and people here from IEEE, and people are asking for big bodies like IEEE or ACM to take the initiative to design a standard, an artificial autonomous standard for metaverse, so everyone can have access to the same standard and everyone can launch their protocols and their architecture and their design process for whatever they need to be done at the mobile network operators or the service or at that level to be using the same service, story to be using the same protocol. And we are seeing a progress on that. I mean, and also AI is helping a lot and contributing a lot in creating a successful metaverse. So, and we can see that avatar creating that now the AI is contributing a lot into the creation of the avatars, that without it we cannot use the metaverse. The 3D also chatbots. We're seeing a lot of chatbots these days, and it's providing a lot of assistance and a lot of easy access to information. And this is all is being powered by the capabilities of the natural language processing. The data learning or learning from data and the trust in the data, it is and finding malicious features in the data is also being done and enabled by the AI. A processing of a large data sets and learning from those data is also cannot be done manually anymore. And as we know, to create an interactive immersive experience between a real and a virtual world in an instance of sub milliseconds, this cannot be done manually. This has to be processed on decentralized servers, and it needs to be provided to a huge amount or a huge number of users using an autonomous by an autonomous manner. So the future of AI, we will see a lot in the future of using AI in the metaverse in different contexts. The last 2 points that I want to add here now, the security. I mean, AI is not only good in predicting, the possible outcome or possible probability in the future or the current, of the current presence and automated some process and operation, but also it's very good in, predicting anomalies and detecting, malicious behavior and malicious, practice on the network. So we can also invest of the use of the AI for security purposes on the metaverse. So also this will need to look into other type of architectures where we need to embed the AI in the application at the hardware level rather than taking it at the application level itself. So this is what I have to say when it comes to the AI, and I believe everyone can agree here that there is a huge and there is a vast amount of benefits that the AI will provide for the metaverse, and it will be without it we cannot go further and we cannot develop it into a larger scale.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Dr. Moayed. Okay, that will lead us to the third and last question. You know that the enabled technologies of metaverse are energy hungry, such as digital twins, blockchain, artificial intelligence, extended reality, among others. So now my question is about, are we ready for metaverse? Can we have a green metaverse? Dr. Ceit, you are expert in the future for Ceit. What kind of plan that we need to do? Because now with the existing technology, without metaverse, we are struggling with the environment and harming environment. So I hope that you could.
Yeah, great. A great question, Dr. Wada. And there is a saying that people in digital transformation and those who's like on the digital side, they always say that digital is the new green. I don't agree with that when it comes, when you look into the details. I mean, to make digital the new green, we need to have a lot of things. I mean, we need to make digital, as the new green by minimizing energy cost, by minimizing energy, that is spent on this data centers hungry, and now with the metaverse and with the blockchain, imagine the intensive computation, to verify those transactions. So my stake here is that the current commercial models for the metaverse is not environmentally sustainable, as we see it. This is for sure. As a blockchain and NFT transaction consume a lot of energy. I used to have a figure for the amount of energy per transaction for an NFT to do NFT transaction. I don't have that number again, but it's a huge amount of energy that is wasted, for this NFT transaction. And also, the current models are not socially sustainable in terms of accessibility. At the moment, not everyone can access the metaverse. In terms of inclusivity, only very few. Considering the 3 billion population who have internet connectivity, I don't know how much can access the metaverse at the moment. 1%, 2%, let's say 5% of that. Okay, and of course, in terms of equity. So this is clear. Now, the green metaverse. Can we have a green metaverse? I think it's a great way to reduce the environmental impact of the virtual world and the physical world and the virtual world. I think one example of doing this is through, of course, digital twins. Digital twins can be considered one of the form of the metaverse and can provide opportunities for us to optimize the physical world by examining it through the lens of virtual world and try to curb the carbon footprint of the physical world. So this is one thing. There is a hope that with use of digital twin can reduce and can curb carbon footprint, but also by using green technologies. For example, we can reduce the amount of energy required to power, the virtual world and to power those data centers. They can use renewable energy for those data centers. And there is a big direction now among the big tech, those with big data centers, hyperscale data centers around the world, to use renewable energy to power data centers. As we go through this digitalization, becoming part of our daily life, these data centers are becoming more and more, the energy consumption is becoming more and more. So there is a trend, of course, along that. And with the ESG, now we see that, at least from policy making perspective and from government, putting a requirement on environmental, social, and governance sustainabilities for companies to provide in their reports how they can, how they can show that their business is sustainable. I think that is important. And maybe in the future, we will see like a tax on energy, and energy tax, similar to the carbon tax that we see it coming at the moment. I think this might happen, as I've been, attending some of the talks with the KPMG and other, financial auditors, that with this ESG reporting, I think it's going to be mandatory in the future, but that businesses can show how they can save energy. Also, I think one of the ways where we can really push forward with this green metaverse is through promoting energy efficiency measures and the green technology practices, and maybe by also creating incentives for users to participate in the green initiatives, not just only for users, but also for platform owners. If we can have this tokenized economy, which can promote and incentivize a green movement to the metaverse, I think at the end we can have this green metaverse. But it will require a lot of collaboration. It's not just only one thing. It will require collaboration between the big tech, between government in terms of policy making and so forth, between, of course, the users, as they need to also show some, let's say, interest from the user side to really curb this emission. So it is a multi-collaborative approach that we want to have, to have, and also a governance for this multi-collaborative approach to be able to reduce the carbon footprint of the metaverse. This is the way how I see it.
Thank you, Dr. Ceit. Dr. Ernesto, can you please?
Okay, I will I'm very willing to elaborate on this, and thank you for these words. I subscribe every word that was said by Ceit, but I would like to add to them if possible. And what I would like to add is this A lot of people that have been looking into this, and I'm thinking of some colleagues in Europe and in the US, they are of the opinion that sustainability cannot be planned. Let me tell you what's behind this. For example, there are rebound effects, right? So I can use the metaverse to decrease commuting, so people don't have to drive to work. On the other hand, the notion that they have the metaverse meetings may encourage them to have more freedom during the day. They will go to the mall twice. So you have a rebound effect in which what you were planning in order to use the metaverse to increase some sustainability parameter, in the end, it backfires. So those second level and third level rebound effects are very difficult to predict and to manage. On the other hand, they can be learned. And so we are back to AI, but this moment, what I would like to mention as control plane AI, the AI which is behind the metaverse infrastructure operation, and unfortunately is affecting also people's lives. So we can learn by operating the system from the observables, the very optimization problem that is very difficult with the sustainability objective, that is very difficult to solve a priori with regulations, we can learn. We can learn in order, and the reason we can learn is that the infrastructure is digital, so we can intervene on the reality. We can move, like today we move the washing machine operation time to adapt them to the correct moment in which energy is available. We may deploy the activities in the metaverse according to a sustainable schedule, rather than having a schedule that will sort of, for example, affect our capability of providing energy or carbon footprint during the. So this is doable. On the other hand, there is the notion that humans are part of the picture. So suppose that I am woken up at midnight because it's better to do the meeting at midnight. Is not the same as starting the washing machine, right? Starting the washing machine at midnight is fine, because doing a meeting in the metaverse at midnight, just because this is the best time in terms of the sustainability objective for the overall infrastructure, may not be acceptable. So we have a big multi-objective problem, which is sustainable operation of the infrastructure, acceptable by humans with, of course, the effectiveness and efficacy in terms of the business processes that we are implementing as well. We cannot do that ineffectively. So this problem, in my opinion, can only be solved by AI. And so it's the type of back-end AI with the sustainability objective. And so we are still starting to see, and I finish because I want to hear what the colleagues have to say on this. We are starting to see models that are trained, having multi-objective training, which include sustainability as part of the objectives. So if I have a scheduler, if I have a recommender, if I have a system which will be about handling the activities on the metaverse, that model needs to be trained with sustainability in mind as well. We can't just plan for deploying the activity on a separate. It is part of the AI engine that runs the platform. So this is what I think is very promising, but also very tricky to achieve. So good luck to us, but I also looking forward to the feedback of the colleagues about that.
Yeah, thanks, Dr. Mayat, please.
Thank you, guys. I mean, I fully agree with you. I mean, we are not. I don't think we are even close to have a green energy yet in our, countries, in our, let's say, back doors. I mean, we have seen different initiatives in this regard in the past 20 years, starting here in Abu Dhabi, from Masdar into, other global initiatives in Australia. There is many in China, and there is also a lot in Europe. Now, talking about a system where everything needs to be fully decentralized, the metaverse, where we need to create a new virtual, world on digital data centers that requires a huge computing powers and require the connectivity of billions of new IoT devices, and these more sophisticated synergic devices that require continuous power, continuous connectivity. That will create a new world of economy that to be self-sustained, self-sufficient, that need to promote for more socializing, more playing on the internet, more engagement. So this is also will require more power and more, a drain of our natural resources. So what is the solution? If we look at it, it's two unequal equation. I mean, we need more power, but we don't have the amount of the power that we have it in our world, in our earth, it's preserved. It's limited. It's going down. But on the other side of the equation, we are looking at more connectivity. We are looking into more, virtuality by connecting more devices that require more power. So, I mean, so this is honestly, it's been a puzzle for me and for so long. And I have been doing a project on, on a green energy and, on promoting that we need the only solution. And I believe Dr. Sultan, in his latest, speech at ADNIC, he said the only way to reduce the carbon footprint is to put all the energy, all the effort of the energy, whether it's renewable, conventional power system or nuclear energy, all together in order, to provide, sustainability. So now, coming back into this point, a green metaverse. I mean, we will have a lot of challenges by, having a green metaverse. I don't see it anytime soon, because still we are trying to raise more, effort into incorporating more technologies like AI and digital twin to contribute into, to the advancement of how we can use energy. So the main focal issue here, I believe, is awareness. We lack awareness in our community. The individuals in our community, they don't have enough awareness that this is a serious issue, and we need to work on it, to provide having more dangerous for other communities in the future. So to sum up, I have done before the panel, I have done a little bit of research to see, I mean, because I like the term green metaverse, and I wanted to see if there is lots of people working on it. I haven't seen many people, trying to contribute onto the notion of a green metaverse, but I have seen a company, I found a company called the Procoli, which they're trying to set specific rules as to how a green metaverse and its economy function, and how both the communities and the individual participant of the metaverse, they need to augment and direct how the green metaverse takes shape and evolve. I mean, they coupled this, of course, with the Web3, BC Immerse, and they looked into the climate positive, a play to earn, and all of these incentives models. But I believe, I mean, we still lacking in this perspective, a green perspective. We need more efforts, we need more awareness, and we need more, strict regulation in our communities, to change the behavior of the users and to change the behavior of the enterprise to incorporate more green, invest in more green technologies and more green, computing. And this is eventually will contribute and will be reflected in the metaverse. Thank you, Dr. Wahid. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, thank you very much. I think it's very important aspect of sustainability. I think as mentioned by the panelists, that efficient models for AI, blockchain, various technologies, I think will contribute to green computing in general and green metaverse in specific. And I have, I think that quantum computing might hopefully contribute to the green computing in general, because it's all about the efficiency of implementation of the various models. Really, the discussion is really enjoyable, and I hope that the audience has enjoyed this rich discussion. We appreciate your contribution, Professor Ernesto, Professor Ceit, Dr. Moayed. It's always a pleasure having you in any discussion, and looking forward, inshallah, to have more discussions in the future. Okay,
Dr.
this is
Wataq
the,
and my colleagues, Ernesto and Moayed, was really very interesting, illuminating discussion. I hope maybe, because these discussions definitely we need to come up with something out of this. It's not just only we meet and talk, okay? Because we can meet and talk and do nothing. But I think that the outcomes of what can come, I think, is important in terms of policy recommendations, because this is how we see things can be, can be actioned and can be taken further. So with the IEEE, I think here with us, so I hope we can put Dr. Wataq some policy recommendations and take it further, either through the IEEE or through other channels, for how to implement things, in the right, in the right way. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yeah, thanks a lot.
Thank you,
last word, Dr. Ernesto, if you have some words.
Well, no, I will say that I think he summarized very well, and I entirely agree. We need also to talk more and to translate this type of conversation into some recommendations. Also, I believe that the operators here in the UAE, we have only two operators on mobile phone. So I think they should be interested in at least getting some input. They also sit in other organizations like TMF, like Etsy, where basically these things have been discussed, how the metaverse will be supported by the network. And tier DA, I believe. We had some initial interaction on metaverse support from the telco network. So I think all these are interlocutors, and we should go and knock their doors to start a conversation with them. Thank you very much.
Dr. Moayed, the last word, please.
Yes, actually, I mean, as Dr. Ceit and Ernesto, they said, I mean, we can talk the talk, but we need to walk the walk. I mean, we can talk forever, but I mean, it's a collaborative effort. I mean, we need to push in terms of the R&D, which is what we are doing here, and our student in the university, they are doing more R&D in this domain. We need to define specific urgent matters and urgent, problems that need to be resolved immediately. We take these problems into the next level of the industry. The industry, then it is their role to talk to the higher level of the government management, to telecom operator, in terms of make more efficient solution for the problems that the first layer, which is the R&D and our students, they're resolving. But I believe, I mean, I trust, and we will gonna see a real metaverse experience in Dubai very soon. And this is also will change the entire outlook of our discussion and our expectation and the future and challenges that we're going to see. So I hope maybe next year we can take another panel on this, and we can discuss further. Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you very much. Thank you to you all. And this is the end of the panel discussion. We will have a lunch break now. I mean, virtual lunch break. And inshallah, the sessions, for presentation will start at 12:45. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Wataq. It's time for me to go back to sleep. It is 3 a.m. here.
Okay.
Good luck.
3 a.m.
Yes.
You look very awake, so congratulations. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Have a good day. Bye.
Bye.